Welcome to the introduction of water resource gardens. We face water scarcity around the world already, and we know that more and more of the same is coming in the future. As officials in charge of securing water supplies in the cities look around, they find that one of the most reliable water supply these days is in the wastewater treatment plants. So they realize that treated water needs to be recycled and be brought back to the users in the cities. These are all treatment plants built by using different technologies. They are different in technological details, but they share the same overall characteristics, which is they are large, smelly, and unfortunately disgusting. This is why we build these outside the cities. The result is that we end up pumping the wastewater over long distances outside the city and then pump the recycled water back again into the city. But pumping the water is energy intensive and thus has considerable carbon footprint. It is important also to keep in mind that in addition to physical footprint, wastewater treatment plants also have a psychological footprint. You may ask, what is a psychological footprint? So if I ask you, how close would you buy a house to such a plant? What would be your answer? Now, that is the psychological footprint. By the way, people invariably say as far as possible. We took our inspiration from the outhouse. The outhouse evolved into the beautiful bathrooms we all have close to our kitchens. So we thought back then that if it was possible, we can surely turn the ugly, smelly, disgusting treatment plant into something we don't mind living next to. So when we looked at how the traditional plant needs to be changed to be able to be moved into the city, we realized that it has to become much smaller, it has to use less energy, has to be free of odor, and it has to be aesthetically pleasing. Otherwise, you wouldn't move next to. We identified 3 components to accomplish the goal. It was technology, nature, and architecture. And it was the merger of these 3 elements that gave rise to the water resource gardens. Fast forward a few years, and these are various projects we have built around the world. They range in capacity from a few thousand people to hundreds of thousands of people, but they share the same characteristics, that they are all much smaller in footprint, they use less energy, and they have this botanical garden look and feel. Today, there are 120 projects in various stages around the world. In the following slides, I'm going to show you a few examples. Let's start with Canada. This particular town is the outskirts of Vancouver, and the town leaders, when they realized that the wastewater treatment plant can be replaced by a water recycling garden, they decided to put it in smack in the middle of the city. And in this slide, you can see the marina on top of the slide, and you can see the greenhouse, the water recycling center in the middle, with the houses around this facility, each worth around $200,000-300,000. And it's not even called a wastewater treatment plant any longer. It's called the Water Resource Center. So people living across the street don't live next to or across from a wastewater treatment plant. They live across from a water resource garden. This picture was the first organic plant in France 11 years ago. Today, there are more than 30 such facilities in France alone. And underneath the plants, the green plants, there are 5-6 meter deep reactors, where a combination of natural roots of the plants and an engineered root system provide the habitat for a wide range of organisms which feed on the content of the wastewater. And this is how the water is being cleaned. The solution can be applied not only on new plants, but also old ones can be upgraded and transformed to these gardens. This is a 50-year-old plant where we were called in to increase capacity and to improve discharge characteristics. This plant serves 500,000 people, and on a typical open day, there are over 2,000 visitors per day admiring the marvels of nature. This example is in the Philippines, and as you can see, no greenhouse is necessary in warm climates. What you can see here is a water resource garden wedged between two high-rise residential buildings. And the water is directly recycled into the apartments for washing and toilet flushing. So now, hopefully it is clear that the traditional solution can be replaced. And we can intersperse organic water recycling gardens in the city. And thereby, we can eliminate significant infrastructure and operational inefficiencies. My last example is in Shanghai, China. This 40-year-old plant used to be outside the city, but over time it has been surrounded by residential development. And this is what people saw and smelled from their living rooms and from their kitchens. We transformed this into a water resource garden and increased capacity and also improved treatment characteristics. The design fundamentally changed the characteristics of the facility. And this is how it came out. You can see the interiors, the exterior. You can see how an eyesore became a feature of the neighborhood. Thank you very much.